Quadruped breathing. Now, I've talked about breathing a lot in my articles before. I've showed you some examples with quadruped positions, with 90-90 positions up against a wall. You can also use a squat rack for the deep squat variation that I've showed in other videos on my YouTube. I got some questions regarding the quadruped breathing drill. Some folks saying it felt awkward, couldn't really feel it where it was supposed to be. Is this even doing anything? Good question. Well, the one thing about breathing drills is that they're fairly complex in nature, and a lot of times if you're just doing them on your own, what can happen is you typically will just default back to your typical breathing pattern. And so as such, it may be important to have certain landmarks in your head, whether that be anatomical, but as well as certain physical cues that you give yourself during the exercise, just like anything else that you would do in a gym, in order to slightly alter the technique. Now, with breathing drills, one of the important things to watch for is where's the air going in first, stomach versus chest, and what is inflating more. So, for example, is my chest rising a whole lot more than my stomach, or opposite end of the spectrum, which isn't correct either, is only my stomach inflating and not my chest at all? With the quadruped breathing, there's a few little tweaks that you can make if the exercise just doesn't feel right and you can't seem to get the desired result. Now, the desired result, if you're wondering, if you're just watching this video, is we're looking to inflate the posterior mediastinum. And basically what that is an area of your lungs right in between your shoulder blades that a lot of times if we're in a seated position or we're slouched over, or opposite end of the spectrum if you're very overextended, whether that be during a lift, a back squat, a deadlift, anything like that, you're going to drive more air out into your chest. So these drills simply help to drive more air into that area in the back of your lungs and help you to get full expansion of your lungs and help to then, I don't want to get into details, but if you want to know more, I'll link an article down at the bottom. It just basically helps with recycling byproducts during exercise that are generated, as well as generating ATP more efficiently. Let's just say that. So with a quadruped breathing drill, what you're really looking for is when you set up, ensuring that the toes are tucked and the hands are underneath the shoulders. Now from here, the first tweak is that we want to shift our weight out over our hands. So you should feel like in your fingertips, you're using a lot of your muscles for dexterity that you typically utilize to flex and extend your fingers. You're using those to help yourself balance now that most of the weight is over your hands. So that's the first tweak, is now that we've shifted our weight. And the second one is, I talked a lot about in the first video actually pushing into the floor, but some people will overdo this and push so hard that then they can't actually pay attention to the breathing aspect of the drill. So one thing that you can focus on is almost trying to take your sternum and drive it up towards the ceiling and focus more on influencing the position of the rib cage versus the shoulder and the scapula on the rib cage. And basically what this does is when you think about driving your breastbone or your sternum towards the ceiling, that's going to cue your abs a little bit more and get you into this more rounded position. You can couple that with a slight push into the floor, but that push will typically work best on the exhale, not on the inhale. So what I mean is, with a lot of these drills, you're not going for a new deadlift PR, a new squat PR, so you shouldn't be blowing out as hard as you can. With the exhale, you want to feel like you're blowing out candles on a cake, or you're trying to blow up a balloon blowing through a straw. If you have either of those mediums, a straw or a balloon, they can work exceptionally well to teach you how to engage reflexively the abdominals and the intercostals to expel air out of the lungs. But if you just need a perceptive cue, think about blowing out candles on a cake. How do I do that? Through pursed lips. So let's go through our cues one more time. We're going to shift our weight forward, sternum to the ceiling. Now my abs are turned on a little bit more to help drive the air out. And then I'm going to inhale, tuck my chin slightly, inhale, and then exhale and push gently. Stay there, repeat. Two little subtle cues you can watch for, or feedback, I guess, that you can watch for is, as I'm pressing and exhaling, do I feel serratus anterior, this muscle right here on the side of my ribcage, do I feel that turning on? If I do, great, that's the first step. On the exhale. Now on the inhale, what am I looking for? If you take your thumbs and you put them just around your waist, your pinkies should touch the bony aspects of your hips. This is your ASIS. It's just the top of your hip bone. It's typically where your pants ride. If your pinkies touch that and your hands just loosely move their way up, your thumbs will be back here in this space in your back. That's where your QL is, right next to your spinal erectors on the outside of it. Your kidneys are back there. You're going to put your thumbs in that space. And if you can imagine, as you're in that quadruped position, this area, right where my thumb is, should inflate posteriorly. So I should almost feel like this is a large canister filling up and then all exhaling together. So those are your two things to look for, serratus anterior and this kind of QL section where my thumb is. You gotta imagine if I had a person holding their thumbs back there, or if you can get somebody to do that and hold their thumbs there, that's gonna be very helpful in terms of teaching you where to actually, the inhale should start back here in my lower back, and then move up into my upper back. So lower back, abdomen, upper back, chest, that's your sequence of inflation. And give those tips a shot on the quadruped breathing drill, and I think it's gonna make a difference.